Intel processors require additional power more so than an AMD does. So you have to use an additional connector for supplying power to Intel motherboards. Yeah. You know how the motherboard has like a normal, I think it's 24-pin Molex connector that it uses to provide power to the motherboard. On a motherboard designed for an Intel chipset, it'll have an additional, I think it's 6 cable or 6 wire extension on that 24 that sort of snaps on. If you ever look at power supplies, you may notice that it has that. It looks like a tinier version of the thing that plugs into the motherboard, and then it has like a little plastic, kind of like a, I don't know, kind of like a plastic hook type of thing that sort of clamps onto the side of it to extend it by another additional set of pins, which is to provide the additional power necessary for Intel chipsets. AMD does not require that. This character can't run. Fucking hate flying drones. Oh hey, I had said it yesterday, but I'm sure that it's probably also bad today because I'm still playing the same game. The noise of me hitting my desk or pressing keys loudly or whatever should all hopefully calm down tomorrow, because yesterday when I streamed this, I rewatched that recording and was like, oh man, I didn't realize I was picking up so much noise of just like using my desk. And I immediately bought the boom arm and pop filter and shock mount and all of the stuff that I need for my microphone. I don't have an echo screen, but I don't really know how I'd put it up anyway. So instead I'm just trying to teach myself to talk quietly and sort of like at an angle to the mic so that it doesn't echo as much. Oh, check it out. Easy. Must have been like a laptop size floppy drive.
Your minds have been spied on. The rules of our world don't apply to yours, and so the threat have made a careful study of listening to your thoughts. The kill drones are the result of this research.
Oh shit! Fuck! Ah! Well, a fan power connector is usually 2-pin because it's just positive negative. And then the voltage across that positive negative is used to determine the speed that the fan is going. Essentially, the fan just works in the same way that a dimmer switch works. It provides a percentage of power determined by, in a dimmer switch, it's by how much you either raise or lower the dimmer switch or turn it depending on what type of dimmer switch you have. In a computer, the amount of power provided to the fan makes it spin faster, and that power is determined by, like usually by temperature gauges built into your motherboard. So it's a very simple thing to wire up. On like a floppy drive though, there's positive, negative, and then also a second set of positive, negative at a different voltage, a very small, like a very weak voltage, which allows it to oscillate between negative and positive, like half a volt or I think 1 volt or something like that, which is not enough to provide the power necessary to make the mechanics work, but it is enough to signal back to the motherboard, hey, I'm either sending a 1 or a 0. I mean, they do look pretty similar, but usually the way that the connector works for like a fan or something like that is it'll have a little, kind of like a little box. And you can see 2 pins down inside of it. And then it's got one side of the box has 2 holes for the little plastic nubs that hold it in place. You know, like the ramp looking plastic nubs that everything uses. And then also like a T-shaped wedge that kind of is depressed by the sides of the square until it reaches fully down into it, and then it expands in order to hold it firmly in place. I don't know if you'd be able to fit a 4-pin floppy power cord. Also, what the fuck am I talking about? The power cord having data transmission. It has a 100-pin ADA cable. Anyway. I don't know why there were 2 power, or why there was 4 pins on the power then. You know what? One was probably for the LED, and one was probably for the actual mechanics. That way they wouldn't have to have a shit ton of resistors to get the voltage down enough for the LED to not get burnt out. Probably something like that. Ah, shit. Tell me there are bullets here. Oh, there were bullets there, alright. Oh. Oh well. I remember one time, how old was I? I was probably 14 or 15. Yeah, probably 15, I think. My brother's girlfriend's brother was making a computer, a desktop computer for the first time. He didn't know shit about computers. He just liked playing video games and was a rich kid, so he decided to use his allowance to buy himself a new computer that he would build himself, because he was like, how hard can it be? And so he apparently spent like all weekend building this computer, and my like couldn't get it to work. Had no idea what was wrong. He was like, I plugged all the things in. I don't understand. Like, all the people that I talked to online said that these are the things that I needed to buy. Well, he mentioned it to my brother when my brother was over there one time, and my brother was like, huh, I don't know. I have no idea. But like, he tried to fiddle around with it for a little while, and then when he got back home, he mentioned it to me. He's like, so it's weird. He's got all the things plugged in. As far as I can tell, everything's set up just fine. But as soon as he hits the power button, it's like it's like the light is the light comes on. It like blinks. The power light blinks, and then it just turns off, and the computer just refuses to turn on, and he has to unplug it and then plug it back into the wall, and then try the power button again. I have no idea. He has no idea. He thinks it's maybe got a bad part. Like, sounds to me like he didn't put risers on his case when he put his motherboard in. So every single time he's hitting that power button, the power supply is going through the motherboard and then immediately discharging into the case, and it's just shorting across all of the solder leads on the back of the motherboard. And he probably should not keep turning the power button on without fixing that, because he's essentially, I mean, eventually he's just going to short something out, because all of the power is immediately traveling out through the point at which the motherboard connector attaches on the back, and then just shorting across all of the other circuits on the back until it dissipates. A really bad thing. But so I mentioned that, and my brother like went over there the next time and mentioned to him, like, my brother thinks that maybe you didn't put risers in your motherboard. I don't know what those are, but they're like things that make your motherboard not just sit directly on the case. And he's like, where do I get those? I was like, they're supposed to be in the box that the motherboard came in. And he had thrown all of the packaging material away before he even started putting it together. So he had nothing to use as risers. But his dad apparently actually worked as an electrical engineer. And so he decided to mention to his dad what he did, and his dad apparently just like laughed his ass off, and then lectured him about how stupid he is for not understanding basic concepts of electricity. And then like, what did he do? Oh, he cut out some like styrofoam from packaging, and then just kind of like bolted it into the styrofoam inside the case. Which is a fun way to handle that, I suppose.
Your crude world is not the true reality. Your physical body here is the shadow cast by your transcendent mind. We call this higher plane Reality A, and your world of shadows Reality B. If you are receiving this message in a fictional context, you are at an even deeper level, one that we cannot reach. Because your body is a shadow of your mind, when your mind dies, your body will vanish. In the normal order of your world, death is merely a transition in which your mind is set free. But for victims of the coming mind kill, there is only oblivion.
You know, sometimes I hit it in the base and it doesn't make it stop. Sometimes I hit it in the base and it just stops turning, but it's still active. Well, if I was 15, then this would have been, 13, 14 years ago, which means 2000. So probably Windows 98, which did not use NC Loader. It used bootloader. Not bootloader, bootstrap. Bootstrap? I think so. I think it was bootstrap. But yeah, I used all the DOS-based booting systems, so like boot.ini and what else were the other ones? There were 2 DOS files, and then one file that got called by those to start the process of spinning up Windows. Yo, that was so close. Must be another one in here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Must be another one in here. Two more. Lucky me. Music's still awfully loud. In case you couldn't tell, the music actually gets louder the closer you get to a drone. So that means that a drone must be somewhere nearby. Because this music's pretty loud. Well, honestly, you're not missing much. It is interesting, maybe from like an academic perspective. It is interesting how different Windows 9 or the Windows 9X family and the Windows NT family were. And it's kind of interesting to see how they took from one for some things and took from the other for other things. But no. If there was a special mode in this game where you only had stationary turrets, but you had like twice as many of them, I would totally play that mode. Shit, you know what? This game is actually open source. I could just make it not have flying turrets. Maybe I should do that. What the hell is it? Piece of shit.
You see reality painted in shades of black, but beyond your world is another, bathed in radiant light. We have reached out to you with a